guys, it's Julia and welcome back to my channel, and for today's video I'm going to be doing my booktube-a-thon 2017 wrap-up, talking about all the books that I read throughout this week. I'm still going to be uploading my July wrap-up, but I did read 8 books for the booktube-a-thon, which is a huge readathon. If you don't know, I uploaded every day for it, and so did so many people, so I hope you guys had fun if you guys participated or you love watching people's videos. I did want to make a video talking about some of my thoughts on the overall books, and if you do want to see my initial reactions or anything like that, I have daily vlogs up, so you can be sure to check those out. The first book I read this week was The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. This is a classic novel about a man who keeps getting kicked out of school. He's suffering with a lot of things at the moment, and it basically just follows him and his life. And basically I got this as a present from my friend, so I wanted to read it right away because I've wanted to read it for a long time, and we were supposed to do it in school but we didn't, so I really wanted to read it. I ended up really liking this. It was a lot. Like, I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to. I love the writing style. It just made me laugh. There were so many times where I was just laughing because of the language, and it was just really funny to me, and I don't know, I just enjoyed my time reading it. The character I found super interesting and I quite liked him. Classic that was really well done in my opinion, so I gave this about a 3.75 out of 5 stars. Next up here I read East of West Volume 1, and this is a graphic novel, and it's kind of like a Western graphic novel. The story is kind of complicated, but I don't really know how to describe the plot. I don't really know exactly how to describe the plot of this book, but I did not like it. I didn't like it. I had my issues with it. It had like Dark Tower like vibes, but I saw this at the library and I grabbed it because I've heard some things about it, and I saw like a dude with a gun on the cover and I was like, sure. So this completed the challenge for a cover buy. It's not really a buy, but I'm counting it. But I didn't like it. I thought it was really bland and boring, and I was like, it was a little bit confusing and there was just a lot of things, and I was just like, no, I'm not feeling it. I didn't really care. So yeah. Oh, I gave it 2 stars. Here I read Burned by Ellen Hopkins. This completed the challenge for reading 7 books. Kind of random, I know, but I'm doing it in the order that I read them, but I kind of just placed the challenges after because I wasn't really sure, and I did not really stick to my TBR either, so yeah. But this book does have trigger warnings for suicide and abuse, so keep that in mind before picking this book up. Basically, this book is about a girl named Patton who is growing up, and she's dealing with a lot of things such as like abuse and growing up in a very religious home. She basically like struggled with her faith, and then learning about sex and school and just all of this stuff is really new to her, and this book is written in verse, and I actually quite liked it. Her books take me a while to get into. Ellen Hopkins books, like there's been a few of them where I've loved like from the first page, but this one took me like 200-300 pages to get into. My only problems were with the ending. I'm not gonna say it obviously, but it's kind of like that stereotypical ending of these kind of books. I've seen it before, I've seen it so many times, but I'm still, I think, gonna pick up the sequel because I do own it. If you're looking for an Ellen Hopkins book, I would suggest this one, but it's not like my top recommendation, but it's not like it's not my favorite, but it's not my least favorite Ellen Hopkins book. So yes, 3.5. Next up here I have The Wrenchies, which is a graphic novel, and I use this for the challenge of people on the cover. So yeah, but this was interesting. It's about a comic book called The Wrenchies, and then these kids find it and they get transported into that world, and there's just it was everywhere, like it was so jumbly, but I didn't like it at all. I liked the art, that's it. The story was really bland, the characters were bland, it was kind of confusing, it was really jumpy and messy, and I didn't really enjoy it at all, so I ended up giving it 2 stars. Here I have Queens of Geek by Jen Wild, and I read this for the Hyped Book Challenge, and I quite liked it. Basically, it's about 3 friends who go to a convention. It's like a Comic-Con kind of thing, and one of the friends is a really famous YouTuber, and she brings 2 of her friends along, and there's romances that go on throughout this book, and it's about their experience at this convention, and it's super fun and light, and there's some diverse themes as well because we do have a bisexual main character, so that was really interesting to see, and I believe there's some other diverse themes in this book that I just can't remember off the top of my head, but it is diverse, so if you're looking for a diverse book, you might want to check this one out. Getting a ton of praise, and I've been wanting to pick it up because I heard it's really fun and light, and it's about a convention center, and I was like, sure. So I read it, I liked it, it was fun, it was light. I didn't have any like specific problems with it, but it just didn't like blow me away. It was just a fun read, and I would suggest it if you're looking for that, but it's not like my new favorite. So I don't know, I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. It was good, it's just not like my new favorite thing ever, so yeah. Next up here, I read Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov, and I finally read this, and I am so happy I read this. It was on my like bucket list for the year to read. I wanted to read this for so long. It's so controversial, so I wanted to read it. But basically, if you do not know, this book is about a man who is gets really obsessive over this young girl named Lolita, and he just weaves himself into her life, and it's really dark and gross in a way. It's really uncomfortable, and I was kind of worried about talking about this book because it does deal with really like controversial subject matter, and I'm not condoning anything he does, obviously. I would suggest this book if you're interested in it, and I found it really insightful and interesting, and the writing was beautifully written. Like, it was beautifully written, and it was so intriguing, and I was really loving my time while I was reading this, and I did listen to the audiobook, so it just added that creepier effect. It's just fantastic, and it was fantastically written, and it's a book I want to reread. It's a book that I want to like tab and read, and I just want to give it a reread, and it was really like, it was good. Like, I liked it, and right now my rating's about at a 4-star, but I want to reread it in the future, but my rating right now is 4 stars. So yeah, I would suggest it. And that completed the challenge for a character who is different from you. The book I read was East of West Volume 2, and this is obviously the sequel to the first book, for the first installment, sorry. But this one was a lot better. It was a step up. This was my book for Read a Book Outdoors, and so I sat down outside for like half an hour, and I read it, and I liked it a lot better. I thought it just developed, and everything was just nicely laid out, and it was just, I enjoyed it, this one. Like, I just enjoyed my time reading it, and the art is beautiful just like the first one. So I ended up giving this 3.5 out of 5 stars. I was really happy I liked this one. Final book I read this week was Every Heart a Doorway by Seanan McGuire. This book has been getting so much praise, but I read it for the challenge of Read a Book in a Day, and this is basically about these children who go through these these doors, or like kind of portals to different worlds, and they somehow like get kicked out, or they come back from those worlds, and they go home to their families, and their families think they're you know, like crazy, so they send them to, I hate that word, but they send them to a like place, like a facility, the Home for Wayward Children, and basically the person who runs this has been through this themselves, getting like transported to another world, and then coming back here and having to deal with that. And time runs differently. It's a really interesting book. It's a fantasy. It is a fantasy book. Like, from my library, it even says it's fantasy, but it does have it does feel like a contemporary to me. And it also does have a character who is asexual, which I found was really interesting. Book. I thought it was like, the writing was good. Like, there was a lot of beautiful quotes in this as well, but I just wanted it to be longer. That's all. Which I am going to pick up the companions, but at this point I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars, which is not bad, but I liked it. Like, I want to continue, and I was happy with it. It's just usually this stuff isn't my kind of my jam, and I wasn't really expecting certain things, like the thriller component in here, but yeah, I still liked it, and I would suggest it if you're interested in it. But anyways, I hope you guys had a great booktube-a-thon, getting back to normal situations in August, and I hope you guys really enjoyed this week of videos. Let me know if you guys like the vlogs, and if you would like to see more of them, or any of that kind of stuff, and I'll see you all very soon with a new video. Bye!